They tried to call my daughter's scooter a public nuisance, but in court I caught them red-handed, emails proving they invented violations just to take our money. That's when everything flipped, and the truth tore their empire apart. When I watched a bright orange sticker slapped on my daughter's scooter outside 37 Palisade Hollow Court, Brookhaven Ridge. Marla Kincaid, our HOA president, hair sprayed solid, lips pursed, told Eloan, "Scooters are a liability and public nuisance." My son Wilder froze, helmet dangling like a question. Neighbors peeked through blinds like nervous fish behind glass. The sticker read violation in screaming red. Eloan's mouth trembled as if the word had weight. My throat tasted like pennies. I said, "They're kids." Marla pointed with a silver pen, clipboard clicking. "Rules are rules." She loved that phrase like a song only she could sing loudly. Eloan whispered, "Dad, did I break something?" My hands shook, memory snapping to my childhood skinned knees and summer freedom on cracked sidewalks that never needed permission slips. Marla snapped a photo for records. The flash felt like handcuffs. Wilder kicked the curb, and somewhere a sprinkler hissed, timing the humiliation with perfect suburban rhythm. I peeled the sticker off. Glue clung like a grudge. "We'll appeal," I said, pretending my voice didn't wobble. Marla smiled like a locked door that enjoyed being locked. I lifted Eloan's scooter, hearing the tiny rattle of bearings like a swallowed sob. Marla's pen scratched another note. "Before we continue, please drop a like and comment below with your country and what time it is right now where you're watching. Whether it's sunrise in Australia, midnight in New York, afternoon in Canada, or evening in France, I want to know. Don't just sit back, tell me where in the world you are. Now, let's dive into the story." She loved ink the way dogs love bones. "Next time, fines," she added, teeth bright as small knives. A neighbor filmed from their porch, blue light flickering on my shame, capturing our family like evidence. Then Marla said something I wouldn't forget for decades. "Your children's fun is everyone else's risk." She turned away. I turned toward a fight I hadn't planned. Years earlier, when we first signed at 37 Palisade Hollow Court, the lawn looked like a hospital bed, perfect, sterile, expensive, and ready to swallow weekend hours whole. I skimmed the HOA handbook, thick as a church hymn book, promising harmony, safety, and uniform aesthetics. Between the lines, control, control, control. New father hope blinded me. Eloan learned balance on our chalk driveway. Wilder learned bravery following sister's tail lights. Their laughter bounced between cul-de-sacs like bright tennis balls you couldn't catch. We bought helmets, bells, reflective stickers shaped like shooting stars. We set rules. Daylight rides look both ways, no racing down Elderflower Rise because delivery trucks cut corners. Neighbors waved. Even Marla waved, back when her smile still had questions. She told me she liked quiet streets. I told her kids are noisy hearts with wheels. Then came the newsletter, sidewalk safety clarification, lines tightening like a noose. Words like liability, injury exposure, and compliance commitment stacked neatly like bricks building a wall. The board added temporary trial restrictions. Scooters only in designated play zones, which were basically squares of boredom painted near the retention pond, mosquito territory, far from home. We grumbled, adapted, kept peace like people do when mortgages are heavy and weekends precious. Eloan asked, "Why is fun dangerous here?" I answered with silence. Marla gained allies, retired folks who hated dings on mailboxes, a realtor who loved curb appeal, and a lawyer named Trent who wore crisp socks and colder smiles. So when the sticker finally came, it wasn't random lightning. It was weather we saw forming, clouds named policy, wind named money, thunder named someone else's comfort. The day broke glass clear, sky polished like a car lot hood, and Eloan wanted one last ride before homework gnawed her evening. She asked permission like always. I checked the sidewalks. No delivery vans, no yard crews, just Mr. Halvorson trimming roses like he negotiated peace treaties with thorns. I said, 2 laps. Helmets tight. Wilder shouted countdowns, pretending to be a starting pistol. Eloan pushed off, wheels humming a brave little song. I timed her by shadows, like fathers do, quiet proud. Marla's sedan glided up with board member Astrid Peak, who smelled like lemon policies. They stepped out like scene changes, heels tapping, faces arranged into official concern. "Cease activity," Marla declared, voice slicing the air. "Sidewalk scooters are a liability and public nuisance." Astrid filmed on a tablet, tapping boxes like punching invisible balloons. Eloan braked hard, eyes bright with fear and sweat. Wilder rolled his scooter back, tiny hands gripping foam handles like truth he didn't want stolen today. I said, "This is ridiculous." Marla said, "Ridiculous becomes expensive," and waved a notice with my name. Astrid nodded, empathy outsourced to a spreadsheet somewhere sunny. Neighbors drifted out, curious as cats. Someone whispered about a lawsuit from last year, a fractured wrist, an insurance premium that climbed like ivy up everyone's bills. Marla stuck that sticker like a brand. First offense, warning. Second, fine. Third, suspension of amenity privileges. She made amenity sound like fresh oxygen. I asked, "What do you call childhood?" Marla smiled, thin and patient. "Manageable when contained." I felt something harden in me, like street tar cooling after summer heat. Eloan didn't cry in front of Marla. She waited until the garage door shut, the echo folding us back into our own little world of bikes and boxes. She slid the scooter into a corner like putting away a friend you couldn't afford. Wilder stood beside her, weeping snotty sympathy, pretending he was brave enough. "I didn't hurt anyone," she said. She kept rubbing the spot where the sticker clung, like glue still lived on her hands. "Why am I trouble? I'm careful." I crouched, knees complaining like old gates. "You're not trouble, kiddo." But my voice bent. Money worries crept in, fines, fees, late charges hiding behind cheerful fonts. My wife, Sloane, practical as a winter coat, read the notice. "They changed language again," she said. "New definitions, new zones. It's not safety. It's power." We opened the portal online. A proposal, Enhanced Risk Mitigation Initiative, raising dues for additional coverage. It smelled like rain that never waters plants, only floods basements. Sloane whispered, "They want more money." She traced the line item, Nuisance Enforcement Cost Recovery. The phrase crawled like centipedes through my stomach. Eloan watched our eyes. "I'll fix this," I told her, already planning nights with printer ink and coffee breath, reading bylaws like maps out of a maze built to look classy. Eloan nodded small. "Can I keep my helmet on?" She wore it to dinner, chin strap dangling, courage hanging by plastic buckle. Wilder called it her armor. That night, I dreamed the sidewalk rose like a wave, carrying my kids away while Marla sold tickets from a booth labeled compliance. I woke promising Salter resistance. The bylaws were written like puzzles you solve only after you quit, dense, bored paragraphs wearing nice shoes. I read them anyway, highlighter gnawing margins with yellow teeth. Sloane brewed coffee strong enough to negotiate. We found sections on common areas, reasonable use, and the slippery miracle word, discretion. Discretion meant Marla's mood wore a crown. I searched county records for Brookhaven Ridge HOA, incorporated as Palisade Hollow Community Association, filed at a downtown address nobody visits unless something's already broken inside you. Buried in amendments, I found multiple risk mitigation surcharges introduced after minor incidents. One mailman tripped, one golfer complained, one porch step argued with gravity near elderflower rise. Each incident became reason for a new fee, always temporary, never removed. Sunset clause appeared once, but sunset never came. It was a cheerful lie, bright and distant. Astrid's husband ran a landscaping company that won the Play Zone painting contract. Friendly coincidence? Maybe. My stomach wrote a darker story, one where zones were cash registers. We talked to neighbors. Old Miss Pemberton confessed she paid a fine for letting her grandson chalk hopscotch. The board called it surface defacement. The slab still glowed faint pastel. Mr. Halvorson whispered, premiums went up after the board claimed more incidents than happened. He shrugged, eyes tired. Who can prove nothing happened? Proof of absence is heavy. I printed everything, 3-hole punched like a school project, and labeled a binder, Sidewalk. Eloan decorated the cover with shooting stars. Wilder added a sticker, Let Kids Live. That night, we drafted a petition. Sloan said, They'll ignore it. I said, Then we escalate. The stapler slammed like a gavel. Somewhere, thunder rehearsed for later. The next HAA meeting filled the clubhouse with perfume, cologne, and baked resentment. Folding chairs made skinny squeals. I carried the binder like a shield painted with math. Marla sat center stage, a daisy in a vase beside her, pretending softness. Astrid sorted papers like playing cards, smiling as if we were all winning something expensive. I spoke calmly. Your ban is overbroad and unsupported. Kids riding scooters with helmets on daylight sidewalks is reasonable use under Article 7, Section 12, Subpart B. People blinked. Article numbers sounded like secret door codes. Marla tapped the daisy. It's about liability, Mr. Cray. She liked my last name because it sounded suspicious. I presented emails showing board discussions about increasing revenue through fines and expanding nuisance definitions. The room murmured like bees discovering the jar lid coming off. Trent, the HOA attorney, stood. Context matters, he said, voice buttered. Those phrases reflect responsible stewardship. He smiled like a receipt you couldn't return. Sloan asked, Why did Astrid's husband receive the zone painting contract without bids? Astrid's smile thinned. Papers rustled. The daisy pretended to be a tree swaying neutrally. I handed copies of an insurance letter showing premiums rising despite fewer reported injuries than the board claimed. Who reported additional incidents? Silence learned to sit very still. Marla banged a pen. This is an ambush. I said, This is sunlight. Eloan squeezed my sleeve. Wilder whispered, Dad, superheroes talk like that. My heart did push-ups. Trent leaned forward. If you persist, we'll pursue fines and liens. My neighborhood clutched its pearls. I lifted my phone. Then I'll pursue the state attorney general. Guess. When the board suspended our pool fob for disruptive behavior, neighbors finally chose sides publicly. Ms. Pemberton brought cookies. Someone else wrote liar on our mailbox. I filed a complaint with the county's consumer division, mailed certified letters, and posted our petition. Signatures grew like wildflowers in a ditch nobody thought mattered before. The Attorney General's office replied, We've noted patterns in your documentation. Patterns felt like choir music warming up. I saved that email like a photo of daylight. Trent sent a demand letter for $1,200 in cost recovery. Sloan laughed a sharp laugh. They want us to pay for their flashlight while we show them the sun. A local reporter named Jory Peabody called, asking about kids, scooters, community, and money. I told her everything. She loved receipts more than metaphors. Cameras love numbers. Marla doubled down, announcing a safety gala fundraiser at the clubhouse. Tickets $50, proceeds offsetting increased insurance burdens. The flyer sparkled like gilt-wearing glitter. We filed in small claims to challenge fines, plus a separate claim demanding records under state HOA statutes. Paper Mountain met Paper Mountain. Somewhere, Trent sharpened staplers. Court smelled like old coffee and nervous pencils. The judge's nameplate read Honorable Rivera Tolliver, which sounded like winter and fairness had a baby. I took steady breaths. Trent argued about risk, cited anecdotes like bedtime stories with monsters. I asked for incident logs, ambulance reports, verified claims. He offered confidential tallies. The judge frowned slowly. Jory published an article that night. The headline hummed, Are sidewalks for sale? Comments rolled in like surf, and Marla's daisy finally wilted in my mind. Subpoenaed records arrived, pages blacked out like secrets hiding under wide sunglasses. Still, numbers leaked through. Nuisance incidents doubled months before any new restrictions. Convenient timing, suspicious growth. We found double billing for zone repainting and an invoice from Astrid's husband's company with rounded hours that looked like balloons, pretty, empty, floating higher than gravity allows. Insurance correspondents contradicted the board's public statements. Premium increases were projected regardless of scooter activity, tied to statewide trends. Liability wasn't kids, it was math wearing a bigger coat. Sloan color-coded everything like a map of a battlefield. Eloan brought snacks and courage. Wilder practiced reading out loud, $5 words like fiduciary, sounding brave and crunchy. At the next hearing, I laid out timelines. When kids were banned, when fees rose, when contracts awarded. The lines made a picture you couldn't ignore anymore. Trent tried to smile. Correlation isn't causation. I nodded. Then explain your emails requesting more nuisance citations 4 days before the budget vote. The courtroom air held its breath. Marla's voice softened. We only wanted safety. The judge asked for proof of scooter injuries. Trent offered none. Paper shuffled. The daisy in my pocket memory fell apart. Neighbors testified, hopscotch fines, lemonade permit threats, chalk warnings. Jory's notebook whispered across paper, catching small truths like butterflies, letting them beat bright wings in sunlight. Judge Rivera Tolliver ordered an audit and temporary halt of the scooter ban pending verified data. Eloan squeezed my hand so hard my bones remembered playground monkey bars. Marla stared past us, like a person trying to remember the first lie that needed a second one. The clerk's stamp sounded like a door unlocking slowly. The court-appointed auditor moved quiet, polite, and relentless. Numbers confessed under polite questioning. A fund reallocation slipped fees from landscaping into compliance education. Education looked like punishment brochures. Astrid resigned for family time. Marla called it unfortunate. Trent called it routine governance. I called it gravity finally noticing someone parked a cloud on our mailbox. The report said the ban relied on unsupported claims, fines exceeded reasonable enforcement, and conflicts existed around contracts. It recommended rollback, repayment, and real community input with transparent bidding. Sloan read aloud while Eloan spun her back wheel gently, listening, eyes bright like a kid opening a new box of summer every day. Wilder whooped victory laps. The board announced a special election. Neighbors who once hid behind blinds stepped into sun, names on ballots, feet on grass, kids rediscovering how sidewalks sound under laughter. Jory's follow-up headline sang, Greed in the Gaps. I didn't like the word greed until I saw it fit perfectly, a puzzle piece finally finding its home. At the final hearing, the judge accepted the audit, ordered reimbursements, and required new rules drafted with child safety experts. Reasonable, not fearful, she said, pen tapping like a metronome. Marla removed the daisy from the clubhouse podium. Her hands shook. For a second, I saw a tired person who forgot what power is for when it's borrowed. I walked outside with Eloan. She clipped her helmet, chin high. Wilder shouted, Countdown! The sidewalk waited like an old friend, patient, forgiving, a long silver ribbon. I pushed off beside them, grown man on a borrowed scooter, laughing. Then a new voice behind us said, Mr. Cray, one more thing about those fees. The treasurer-elect, a quiet guy named Dorian Miles, handed me papers. Refund schedule, he said, blushing like responsibility had weight. Also, you're owed apologies if those count. I read the checks list. Ms. Pemberton, Halvorsen, the gallows, us. Money couldn't rewind embarrassment, but it could undo fingerprints left by the wrong hands on the right doors. Marla approached, no clipboard, no daisy. I'm stepping down, she said, voice folded. I forgot the difference between protecting value and protecting people. I'm sorry. The street exhaled. I believed her a little. People learn late. Sidewalks hold stories, not grudges. Eloan looked up, helmet glossy as new hope. Can we invite everyone for lemonade? We hosted a scooter Sunday, folding tables groaning with cookies. Jory came without a notebook. Kids raced, stopped at chalked crosswalks, shouted rules like joyful spells. The neighborhood softened. Dorian proposed new guidelines, helmets, daylight rides, parent supervision on elderflower rise. We voted yes. Reasonable, not fearful. Rules that fit children like jackets sewn for movement. Eloan's first lap back felt like a bell ringing over old worry. Wilder rode behind, counting cracks. The sun stitched gold all over Palisade Hollow, mending careful seams. I stood where Marla once stood and chose different words. Sidewalks belong to footsteps, I said, big and small. We keep them safe by using them kindly together. Years later, I'm 50 and changed, telling this so some dad knows he's allowed to push back when rules forget who they're supposed to serve first. The wind carried laughter down the block. Eloan braked beside me, breath bright. Dad, she grinned, race you to Elderflower Rise? And I finally said, go.